So as a woman, owning your sexuality is one of the most liberating things. But sometimes there are some chains or fears that can actually stop us from fully embracing it, fully embracing the totality of our sexual expression. So today's episode is all about stepping beyond the fear or these blocks when it comes to fully owning your sexuality as a woman, and how embracing your sexuality is actually related to your inner child. And you might think, well, what does fully embracing my sexuality have anything to do with my inner child healing? Well, a lot. And I wanted to explore this topic because when you actually do this work consciously and working with what might be blocking your sexuality, even when you do feel like I am having a lot of sex and I'm very sexually empowered, but honestly, when you do this work, it's mind-blowing. It's like you unlock a whole other level of your power as a woman. There is this feeling of true liberation that comes from within your body, within your voice, and within your innocence, a new reclamation of your innocence. But first of all, welcome back to my channel. And if you have been here before, I'm so grateful that you are joining me here again in this beautiful space of honoring and exploring all of these different themes and landscapes of your sensual feminine. And if it is your first time here tuning in and you have never been here before, I'm so thrilled that you have made your way here. My name is Jessica Angeleri. I'm a feminine embodiment mentor, sensuality and pleasure facilitator, high priestess of love, and I truly love working with modern women who have an interest in spirituality and deepening their relationship with their body, their sensuality, their sexuality, to fully reclaim their power of their womanhood and offering a unique perspective around feminine energy to help you connect with your sexuality, which is sacred, to help you reclaim your pleasure, which is your birthright. So if you have a deeper yearning to start this journey of connecting with your feminine energy and feeling more sensual, I invite you to check out my free program. It's a 7-day series, Erotic Feminine Embodiment, to start this journey of reclaiming and calling back all the pieces of you that are related to your feminine energy and your sensuality. And we do that through gentle, non-invasive, sensual and somatic embodiment practices. So if that feels aligned, make sure to check out the link below. So let's dive into it. Now, a big part of this work that I do in guiding women in fully owning their sexuality is facing the shame, facing the fears, facing the blocks, the chains that block their full sexual expression. And part of this is looking at how different templates of how sex was presented to us when we were much younger, or how it's presented to us now. And then how this ripples out into how we feel about our bodies, how we feel confident in the bedroom, or how we allow ourselves to be intimate, not only with ourselves, but with our partner. We can feel shame around our wild sexual expression and fully letting go and surrendering to that wild expression. And it's no fault of our own because we haven't really been given the space and the healthy template to really practice this, the healthy supportive spaces, which is what I feel so passionate about, providing these spaces. We might also feel that our pleasure is not actually ours, or we might wait for our partner for us to feel a certain way, for us to feel good. And so we're locked into this false idea around pleasure And that pleasure, we believe, isn't completely ours. Or we tie it directly to sexual experiences. And perhaps we may not even have the confidence to actually express what it is we want. And this may stop us from feeling the liberation of our sexual expression and vitality. Even if, ironically, you do feel very confident in the bedroom. Nobody really talked to us growing up about what a healthy sexual template is. We didn't and maybe still don't have the tools to explore our own pleasure. And it's still such a taboo subject. And we see this all the time as well. We're given all of these false ideas and templates about and constructs about sexuality and how it's supposed to look a certain way. And we have all these different techniques and tips to have great sex, do these positions to feel more pleasure, or do these things to please him. And so we have so much information coming at us. And then on top of that, we don't really have these safe spaces to fully drop into the body, to relax our nervous system and explore and have the tools to feel our sensuality, which isn't linked to our sexuality. But when you explore your sensuality in this way, this then does lead you to feeling more confident and more empowered and fully owning your sexuality, fully owning your expression in the bedroom. Now, I don't always like to dwell on the things that are wrong, but I do believe it's important that we bring our attention to these things, to bring our acceptance to it and start shifting the story so we can reclaim our power. Because we're not a victim in our own lives here. And so we may have also experienced a lot of shame around our body, even being our own critic. That was definitely my story. Pressuring ourselves to look a certain way, sound a certain way, and guess what? This has an effect, this has an impact of then how you walk into sexual experiences. So, this shame can also be related to the shame or the judgments that you have about being a woman or a sensual woman. And so exploring your pleasure may feel a bit daunting. Like exploring pleasure or self-pleasure may feel really daunting or overwhelming. And so we may shut down and repress our sexual relationships with our partner. And then we might feel like, well, it's all up to him. It's his responsibility to make me feel good. Let me know if any of these feel true to you. Maybe there's something else. Whatever it is for you, we're not here to judge your experience, but just to bring more compassion to your path. And that is how we shift our story. So the invitation here is always to start knowing yourself deeper, because that is always the gateway to opening your channel to your greater sexuality. But at the end of the day, I believe all of these blocks and the ways that we perceive sex and perceive ourselves and the ideas that we have around our body and our pleasure, I believe that it comes from our young girl, the maiden girl, the adolescent, the wild expression of our maiden self. So it does start here. This fear of being fully tapped in and fully alive in your wild heart and your wild expression. It's up to us to come back to and know this aspect of us again. Revive our natural innocence. We've lived in this culture, this environment where we couldn't talk about sex. And that was the way for me anyway. And so, yes, we may have seen sex around us when we were young. Maybe we heard about it. But I know by working with a lot of women, I know that for a lot of us, no one really sat down with us and gave us the tools or had a discussion around our bodies and our sensuality. And this sensuality, this erotica, this erotic expression was always tied to something that was sexual and therefore wrong or sinful, rather than it just being a connection to ourselves and our senses and our wildness. So whatever age it was, it can be as young as 5, we weren't taught that pleasure was okay, or that our desires and dreams were okay, or that sensations and feeling different things were okay, or that you're exploring your body was okay. We didn't know what all of that meant. And this is why I actually have a client and I work with her mother and her daughter at the same time, separately though. And I just feel so honored to be able to work with them, because although I'm not working and speaking about sexuality with the young girl, there is a lot of work around honoring the feelings and emotions that come up and directing the awareness to her sensations in everything and giving her space to actually tap into that and to explore that and to express that. So using her voice and her practicing being seen is everything. Being heard is everything. And I can see with the mother, there's not much difference with the young girl. So for a lot of us, maybe we didn't have emotional safety. Maybe we didn't have a healthy environment or a mentor to initiate us in whatever we were feeling. A mentor that has fully owned her own erotic expression and that initiates us into our womanhood. I don't think for a lot of us we've had these types of mentors or high priestesses where we can look, where we can come together and be guided in these temples with other women or other young girls, where we can look at our bodies with such reverence and love, and to engage with our bodies in a way that goes beyond sexual techniques. Like, wouldn't it be amazing? And this is, oh my gosh, I just feel so passionate about this, that we women come together to relearn what it means to fully make a love with ourselves, so then our lovemaking becomes deeper than what we've been shown. And so because we didn't have these healthy mentors or healthy environments to explore all of this, perhaps we were confused about sex, about our own relationship with our bodies, about our desires, and we automatically placed things in categories of wrong and sinful, or okay, this is okay, this is acceptable in society, or this is the thing that pleases a man. And then we might have walked into or still walk into sexual intimacy, not fully owning our expression and sexual pleasures and our body as beautiful, and feeling this deep love for just being a woman and the pleasures that she is always offering you, the pleasures that your yoni gives to you. Having this deep love with your yoni and slowing down and connecting with ourselves in this way is everything. So, and I feel like that is the piece that was never shown to us, but we're here to shift that. I feel that from my own experience, that the one thing that blocks us from experiencing thriving and vibrant sexuality is our perception of sexuality, that derives from how we know ourselves deeply or how we felt about ourselves, which then usually stems from our childhood or our adolescent years. Because most likely we are holding preconditions and shame and ideas about our yoni, how we should love ourselves, how we are supposed to hold our emotions And all of this stems from our childhood. So I believe that this young maiden girl who is wild, playful, expressive, or desires to be anyway, is carried through our current life and the way that we approach sex until we, of course, look at it and hold our inner girl who wants to be fully seen and expressed and wild and connected and curious and embodied in so much love. We have to shift the story for her. So we have to move through what is holding us back from being fully expressed, from feeling safe to be seen just as we are, and facing the shame around our body, around our voice, and around being seen. And this is all tied to our worthiness and then our sex. This is why I absolutely love Feminine Remembrance. I'll drop the link below for that so you can check it out. But this sacred temple initiates us, and we become our own queens, our sovereign queens, because we use our voices, we share our deepest, darkest secrets and vulnerabilities. So this allows us to express ourselves without holding back. We dance in our wild expression whilst being seen by other women. And so we move through these judgments and fears that we may be holding on to and shame around our body. And we start to be seen by other women. We start to feel seen. We start to be heard. And so this is such an important piece of not only healing your inner child who may not have felt safe and showing up authentically, unapologetically, but also it's about learning to use your voice, opening up that throat chakra, which then ripples out into your sex life, which then ripples down into softening your yoni. It's, oh my gosh, it's such a revolutionary act, honestly. So your self-limiting beliefs and all the things that might be keeping you stuck out of the fear of fully opening and expressing yourself, they're not always easy to face. I totally understand that. That's why being held and being supported by a mentor that you trust is so important for us women. The more that we feel held and the more that we hold space for our emotional little girl inside who wants to be heard, she wants to be seen, but perhaps she never felt safe to, the more that we hold our emotions, the more that we open up to more pleasurable and orgasmic aliveness through different tools and somatic practices, you start to develop trust with yourself to open, to connect with your inner wild eroticism. And you feel more alive and confident in the bedroom as well. Now, I just thought I'd share a little of my story. I grew up in a very strict Catholic upbringing. My dad was very old school Sicilian, and so it was all about me making him proud. I was the eldest of 3 girls. And although I was surrounded by girls, women, my whole life, well, I felt like the feminine aspects were missing. It was submissive, it was weak, it was just non-existent, or to be feminine was almost wronged. And so the idea of being seen in this type of expression, playfulness, this flirtiness, was sort of numbed away. And the idea of being seen terrified me. To truly be seen, especially in my vulnerabilities, it felt terrifying. And then me being emotional all the time, well, that was ridiculed as well. And so to be witnessed by a man, like to really reveal myself honestly and raw and openly, well, it felt like it would make me small and less than. And this fear held me back in every area of my life, really. The question that haunted me was, what will others think of me if I actually let go, if I show all of me? That in itself felt so naked. And at the core of this fear really was my inner girl, the one who had learned to be invisible. She had been taught to play small, to be nice, to say what others wanted to hear, to say yes when actually my inner queen was screaming no. So this part of me was actually really afraid to let go, to release control, to surrender. Because, well, what would others think of me if I actually was just me? What if I looked stupid? What if I didn't look as good as them? What if I wasn't accepted? I so wanted to be accepted. And underneath it all, the deeper wound connected to that was, what if I am not worthy? I had disconnected from my inner maiden, the young girl, the 10 to 12-year-old girl who felt deeply, she still feels very deeply, who is sensual, who is connected to her desires, her dreams, her creativity, has so much passion for life. That sensuality at the time completely dismissed, completely forgotten about. And this sensuality is activated through your ability to feel safe, to explore your senses, to touch, to smell, taste, to hear, to feel so deeply, to see things vibrantly, to move, to be connected to your intuition. These are all the pathways to feeling and to feeling more pleasure. So I had been repressing this aspect of me, my embodied emotional self. I wasn't allowed to be playful fully growing up. I had to be responsible. I had to be the good girl, the caretaker, the one who looked after her younger sisters. And I remember how desperately I wanted to please my father as a little girl. I was never allowed to ask for too much, but I just wanted to do everything right. And this, as I say this, I even just want to give her a big hug and tell her how loved she is and how safe she is to just be herself. But this really shaped how I existed in my body. I was full of anxiety and stress and completely disconnected from my desires and wants and needs. And all of that was numb to me. And that numbness seeped into everything, how I made decisions, how I doubted myself, how I walked through life. And of course, then how I showed up in my relationships and my sexual experiences. I had learned to anticipate what men actually wanted, how to please them, how to appease them, how to be good for them. I unconsciously molded myself into a version that wouldn't be too much. I didn't express what I wanted because then what if he didn't like me? What if I upset him? What if I became unwanted? Until I did start to place my boundaries, speak up, and well, a lot of falling away had to happen. But in this holding back, I was denying my true wild sensual self. I wasn't fully expressed in my sexual, intimate experiences. I didn't feel safe to just be me, to be fully, unapologetically me. And this only changed when I created this safety within myself, when I allowed myself to be messy and wild, expressive, playful, emotional, too much, surrendered, when I let myself fully enjoy pleasure, without guilt, without shame, owning all of me, owning my pleasure as mine, owning my body as beautiful, owning my yoni, all of it for me. And this was all practice. And only when I started to hold space for this, my aliveness, my orgasmic aliveness just became so much more ecstatic and explosive. I had built this foundation within me by knowing that I actually belong. I belong to this earth. I belong to my body. I belong to me. And I am a true gift. And so for the past 10 years or so, I have consciously devoted myself to this feminine path for this kind of awakening. And yes, I want to please my man. And yes, I want to be desirable for him. But I also have refused to do that at the cost of my own authentic truth. I refuse to abandon myself because my sensuality, my sexuality, my emotions, they're not separate. I come as a full package. And so do you. So when I stepped into my early years of my 20s, my sensuality did start to become more awakened. My senses became more alive. It happened gradually. And as I did this, I did feel myself opening up to a new world or a new feeling of sexual aliveness. I started to dance samba in my mid-20s, and that just liberated my hips. And with that feeling of opening my hips and moving my hips in a way, that in itself was very freeing for me. That I could finally move in a way, in a sensual way that was for me, for my aliveness, and not for a man. And so my maiden girl self started to come alive. I started to take on this like fuck it attitude. And I did go on to the more rebellious side. But my fear of being seen began to dissolve, and something beautiful started to rebirth. This goddess, this woman fully in her power. I loved her. I love her. I love her expression. I've come to fully own this now. This is my gift here. And now this is what I bring to every aspect of my life and then in sex. At first, at the time, I wasn't using my sexuality in conscious ways. But I had a taste of my wildness, who I loved. And the more I connected with her through my dance, through movement, through my body, the more she grew. The more that she became enriched and empowered. It's like that little girl who was so afraid to be seen and heard started to wake up from the sleep, from that slumber. But she didn't fully come to life, like really fully, until I rooted deeply in my body and my womb and owned my yoni and her pleasures, until I honored my sacred feminine essence in intentional ways. So this journey isn't about performance. It isn't about fitting into an image of what sensuality should look like or what we think it should look like. It's about remembering who you are, remembering your wildness, your softness, your emotions, your deep, untamed power, this deep love that you get to tap into. You were never meant to be small. You were meant to be seen. You were meant to be loved deeply by you. You were meant to be heard, to be felt, to take up space. And when you claim yourself fully, your body, your wild heart, your soul, this isn't just about you awakening to your sex. This is about you awakening to your sensual, erotic self, as well as loving yourself so deeply, connecting with your beauty, with your body, with your vitality, with this life force that is here to help you experience greater sex, greater love, greater life. So as you can see, all of this work really is about breaking through, moving through the preconditions, learning how to tune into your inner girl or your adolescent girl, and starting this amazing, loving process of initiating yourself into the wild woman who is held by the mature, powerful, sacred woman that is you. So then you can hug your inner girl and hold her with so much love and grace, especially when she feels anxious or feels like she has to control or perform or to be afraid of her emotions. Help her see you and your naked body with a fresh new lens of unconditional love and awe. Be the sacred mother for her. And I believe this is a daily process. Although if you are interested in connecting with your inner child, I have a meditation that you can do inside Embody the Sacred Feminine. That's an online self-paced course, which you can do at any time. And it's filled with the embodiment arts of meditation, journaling, dance. So that's another beautiful one to check out. But this really is a process of you talking to your inner girl every single day, building your foundation of safety daily. So the invitation is to notice when she tenses up through your body and ask her what is happening. What does she need from you? Allow love to pour through your body. Give your inner girl a new language. That she doesn't have to be afraid anymore, and she can. She's so worthy of experiencing aliveness. Because you're with her, so she's okay. And she can be in this space, in this temple with you, playing and feeling into the magic. She doesn't have to pull back because of shame and fear. She doesn't have to perform in sex. She doesn't have to make sure that she sounds a certain way and her body looks a certain way before she can relax and enjoy herself and have those deep, amazing orgasms. No, you get to show her how this pleasure and this new language of love feels and how it looks in your own sensual practice and devotion. So no, it's not about the techniques in sex that we feel is lacking. That part is easy. We mentally know how to have sex. There's so much information out there. I believe it's the emotions and the energetics, the past conditions and programs of our past that are actually infused into our sexual process. So I think a lot of us, we know what we want, or at least we try to know what we want. But the thing that blocks us from receiving great pleasure, having great orgasms is actually our inner child, the fear of using our voice to say what we want in the bedroom. It's the inner girl who may be scared to say, no, I don't want this, I don't like this, or do this. I like this, touch me here, I like this kind of touch. So we have to explore that for ourselves. She is the one that can get in the way of fully letting go and allowing your whole body to be embraced and immersed in this field of pleasure. And then this is how we get rigid, or we feel tight, and we don't allow ourselves to open and feel safe in our beautiful temple body, which is this channel and holds the gateway to your sexuality. So when you start to look at your inner girl and you start to honor her, you may start to realize, oh, okay, this is where I haven't fully owned my boundaries, where I haven't fully owned my voice or my yes and my no. And this is then, I can see how this now actually ripples out into my sex life. So we have to do this work. We have to hold our inner girl with so much love. Give her a new language of pleasure through the body to show her what softening looks like. to show her what love looks like, to show her that you are the beauty and you're here celebrating this beauty, to show her what pleasure feels like that isn't related to someone else. You are so deserving of this. And this happens when you start breathing with her, through loving her when emotions come up, with no judgment, acknowledging sensations in your body, acknowledging when resistance comes up, and just coming into an acceptance of it. Noticing the shame, the judgments that come up about your body. Start being playful, explore your yoni, have a relationship with her. Start relaxing, opening, unwinding, dancing with her through your hips. Start being naked, looking at yourself in the mirror. Practice all of this. And this is what I'm here to support you in. These are all simple yet very profound ways of showing her that you have got her back. And then she will have your back. So it's all about you feeling safe in your body, feeling safe to receive pleasure. This is all linked. Your sensuality, your pleasure, feeling safe in the body, feeling connected, having a love relationship with your body. This is all linked to your sexual power and sexual healing and owning it completely. It's about coming back to your wild woman, igniting her, make her come to life, ignite her through your light. The last thing I wanted to mention, your sexual confidence and your ability to trust your feminine essence doesn't just happen. You have to build it up and support your sensual, erotic innocence, this wild expression, this wild woman within you, the inner child, the playfulness. You have to support her. You have to support your feminine with a lifestyle that fosters this, that can help her flourish, that can help her thrive, and that nurtures you, that empowers you to really tune into and amplify your magnetism. This is my greatest passion, to guide you in reclaiming this for you, because pleasure, feeling bliss, feeling relaxed in your body, owning your sexuality, feeling sexually vibrant, igniting your sexual energy to bring your desires to life, to feel empowered authentically, is your birthright. And I'm here supporting you, sister. I'm guiding you. I'm here to initiate you as a sacred woman that you are. Nothing turns me more on. So, sister, what are you going to do today to start honoring your inner child and start allowing yourself to be fully authentically you? Owning your truth, owning your feminine power. If this episode resonated with you, I'm inviting you to share the love. Please like the video, share the video with other beautiful women just like you. We do need more women like you who are tuned in, turned on to their feminine truth. I'd really appreciate it if you think you know of other like-minded women, other like-souled women. If you desire to take this work deeper and expand your journey more with this, check out my offerings below. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm so deeply grateful for you, and I'm here in service to your great orgasmic aliveness and feminine power. My name is Jessica Angeleri. Thank you, gorgeous. Bye.